You're gonna have me in bits. I'm feeling genuine emotion.
I know.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Jackie!
Now, that was really good, Richard. Do it again.
Too shabby for a shaggy.
Yeah, but when are you going to put your costume on, Richard?
Oh, thank you, Sherrie, and good night.
Do it again.
Gorgeous.
Do a Scooby-Doo voice, darling.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo! God, please.
Love it.
Literally, if you could always rely on me, girls. What is this? My third appearance on Wonderbirds.
Yes.
I'm losing count. And you can always count on me to bring us to a new low. But it is Saturday. We're having some fun, and the reason, of course, that we are dressed as cartoon characters, and I see there's been a run on minis, and Cinderella must have left her shoes somewhere last night, but that's like Debbie of old.
That's not all, Richard.
I'm sure. You asked me, you challenged me for a theme for this weekend's Wonderbirds, and I looked
You did,
around my
darling,
shed.
and you said something quite specific last time, didn't you?
Well, I did say, I said cartoon characters. Now, this was based on the fact that I have a Smurf here in the shed.
Yes.
Now, Smurfs for me were huge growing up, and remember I told you when I first appeared on Wonderbirds that I actually had a collection of Legos still in the roof, and alongside some Star Wars figures, my childhood toys. So I actually still have a collection of Smurfs that I keep, but 110 Smurfs. A collection of Smurfs upstairs. So I used to collect them because in the old days, I'm sure many viewers will remember that there was a group of garages called the National Garage, and whenever my dad went to Winchester to buy petrol, he didn't need to do it because we were in Andover, but God bless him, he would drive all the way to Winchester to get petrol because you were given a free Smurf. So a couple of years ago, I was asked to be the voice in the UK of Nosy Smurf for the blockbuster film Smurfs in the Lost Village.
Wow.
So, you've got a glad eye across animation, and I do love animation. So I had one line in the film that they repeated several times, because obviously it was fraught with meaning. I was Nosy Smurf, and my line was, "Ooh, what's going on here then?" But I delivered it in such a Kenneth Williams way that the bosses of the film suggested I take it down a notch because I sounded far too carry-on and far too voyeuristic. They said, and they were rather thrown by the fact I'd taken my collection of Smurfs along to the studio as well to do the voiceover. They said, if you could just take it down a notch, Richard, because this is a film for children. Oh, what's going on here then? So,
what's going on here then?
So there you go. I found this Smurf in my shed, and I challenged you ladies, and perhaps some of you have even frocked up at home, because we do love a frock up on this show. I challenged you, obviously, to step into your cartoonular mode, and you have not let me down. You look absolutely spectacular, ladies. I, on the other hand, leapt on.
It's hard in lockdown. It's hard in lockdown, Richard, to find, cartoon things to wear.
I'm Disney mad. I've gone to Disneyland since I was 8 years old, and I'm absolutely a fanatic. And so I've got little Disney memorabilia around my home.
Oh,
gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I love Disneyland.
Isn't it the best?
Yeah.
You step into your world again, and you can play again. And you can play.
Has it opened? Has Disneyland reopened?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. It will, though.
Looking at us, it's probably closed for business permanently if they see this. I can't imagine the Disney franchise will be too cheered by our efforts today. I am saying, I leant on a keyboard and I thought, well, I'm not going to find blue paint during lockdown, so I leant on a keyboard and ordered this Scooby-Doo costume, which arrived 24 hours later. I can't get a printer cartridge for about a month, but this full-size.
My ears never arrived. I was going to be mini as well. We were going to be all minis, and my ears are still not here, Amazon. So I just had to make do and get some rags on. Yeah. And I found a duster.
Perfect. And also, you look gorgeous, darling, with the hair.
Do you like the
Cinderella.
hair?
It's perfect.
Do you like the cinder hair? This is one of those. This is one of these wigs.
Disney
Do you know one of
princess.
those?
Oh my goodness!
Wow, that's lovely.
You've always been a Disney princess, darling.
I have, but they just, you see them advertised. They just go on like that, and then they've got, put your hair over the top of it. It's quite clever, isn't it?
How do you ladies feel about fancy dress? Because I'm sort of torn. I do love, as I said, a frock up and the theatrics of it. But I always think, and these days, obviously, when you get to Halloween, it's on steroids now, isn't it? Everybody's getting their makeup artists in, and some of it's absolutely terrifying, but everyone makes a spectacular effort. For me, you've always got to, and I think, not over-sexualizing anything, but you still want to look quite attractive. You find that with fellas in Halloween. They still want to look quite attractive. Secondly, you also want to be able to get a cab. So you don't want to cover yourself in paint. They're the two golden rules, I think, of frocking up, be it for Halloween or whatever. Right now, I am sweating like Judith Chalmers without a passport. I don't think I could pull, and I certainly don't think I could part the traffic at the moment, even if I was dressed as Moses.
Oh,
There's
I don't know,
way
darling.
You know what I always think of? I always think about Del Boy and Rodney. Remember when they were dressed as Batman and Robin in that wonderful episode when they just were it was really funny. But honestly, I did feel today when I was getting ready, I felt like I was role playing. I felt like I was about to meet some with this. I was going
to say that, as you know, dressing up, I'm sure we all did it as kids, and that's part of acting, and we're all actors. And I think the idea is we get to dress up all the time as different crazy people, and it's fantastic. So I love it. I love dressing up.
But Harriet, I have to tell you, years ago, and Richard and girls, years ago, I played Minnie Mouse, but I played a drunken Minnie Mouse.
Where?
Right? It doesn't exist anymore.
Is this in real life, like you normally are every day, or is this, I'm not sure what we're saying here.
And the first line I had was, "Hi, Mickey. Why do none of my relationships come good?" Exactly. And then I have to tell you, honestly, this is absolutely true. Disney stopped it from transferring to the West End because it said it diminished their characters.
Well,
I can't imagine why.
Disney characters.
I can't imagine why either.
Well, they have to.
The best one I did was in Benidorm every year, every end of season, we used to do a fancy dress party, and I'm not big on fancy dress parties, but I was a pussycat, and I'll tell you what, I had the lot. The tail, I mean, it was, and it said on the Benidorm strapline, "Sherrie is the best pussy we have ever seen," and I've still got that here in my office. I really was. I mean, I think
Scooby is very shocked, aren't you, Scooby?
Yes, you've pummeled my finer sensibilities, ladies. As you know, I have been round the block once or twice, but this show every week is an education for me, which is why I'm still here. Obviously, I can't leave the house either, and that's another reason why I'm still here. I do have a tale of my own.
I mean, that's a lovely tale, darling.
It's full length.
We all know about Richard.
Thank you, dear.
I'm saying no more.
Thank you, dear. What a tonic you ladies are, honestly. I mean, when people think we're just doing it for the money.
Well, exactly.
If only.
Well, I know you are, Richard. Are you losing weight, or have you put weight on, Richard, since this lockdown?
Well, thank you for asking, since I'm wearing an outfit with a lot of give in it, Sherrie. So,
that's why I was asking, actually, because it seems you've got some bulk there going on.
Some bulk there going on. Well, thank you for noticing. But back to my weight. No, I haven't gained weight at all. Haven't gained weight. I've been quite strict about exercising in the park about 4 times a week. I haven't gained weight. I suppose we're all a little bit doughier because, I mean, no one's ever tuned in for my looks, clearly. But I do like to keep myself tidy. But I came to that whole fitness thing quite late because I was always off games at school and was never picked for the team. But I do enjoy getting a bit of fresh air and a few star jumps in the park. So I haven't gained weight. But I know we made the point a couple of weeks ago, and Harriet said, didn't you, darling, about the fact that because we're being a lot more social in lockdown like this, Hugh Debbie reaching for a mug full of gin, is I have sort of stepped up the liquor a little bit.
Yeah.
I must admit, sort of particularly on a Saturday after we do this, purely for my nerves. After I get bang on it because of you lot. You've driven me to it. So yeah, I suppose I've drunk a little bit more. I think that's fair to say. I noticed today or this week that the stats were that 23% of sales of alcohol, so, sort of shot up by that margin, which you can understand. But no, eating, I'm fine because I'm not going out for lunch or, leaving the house much, but I'm cooking and we're eating really healthily. So a little bit doughier, Sherrie, to answer your question, but I haven't quite run to fat yet. I'm still possibly too fat for Prada, though. Too fat for Prada. And frankly, unless Prada start designing furniture, I'm not going to get my butt into anything they ever design.
I think the only answer is we go Primani, because then
Primani does
all of it.
Primani.
Yeah.
And Richard, you said you're being very creative at the moment. So how are you being creative?
Well, you have to ask when I'm dressed like this. I mean, this is quite a leap of faith for me.
Yes, of course.
I tell you what I have been doing. I've been doing a lot more writing. I suppose the discipline of being in lockdown has driven me towards sort of writing some retrospective travel pieces, because obviously we're not going anywhere soon, blighted as we are. And so I've been doing a lot of that, going through a lot of old photos. In fact, that might be a lovely thing that we could do, ladies, because obviously we've all sort of, I've noticed this a lot anyway, that a lot of friends have started sort of sending me pictures on the phone of adventures that we've had over the years and stuff, and everyone's becoming quite nostalgic for the old normal, which is by definition the past. And maybe we could dig out some pictures that tell a story or that have a story around them next time. We could show each other.
That sounds lovely.
A few candid shots, Debbie.
Oh yes,
and then
don't worry.
Can talk around them.
Oh dear, I don't know about that, Richard.
I think that's a lovely idea, because photographs, I mean, now because we have everything on our cameras, don't we? That's what worries me slightly. I've got so many boxes and boxes and boxes of photographs, but now over the last 10 years, everything's on my phone.
Yeah.
So I mean, what will happen when I die? What will happen to all my pictures?
It'll be on the cloud.
All away, don't worry about it.
You'll be sitting up on the
She's gone
cloud.
now.
You'll be sitting up on the cloud, sweetheart, where all the
But
photos are.
what does happen to all your the photographs that you've set in the cloud? Will your family be able to access everything?
Yes.
I hope not.
Yes.
My poor mother.
So what are we saying, Richard? We get stories from over what? A little story?
Yes.
Well,
you
funny
pull up
little moments in our lives.
Pull out a sort of a vintage snap from years gone by, possibly even our misspent youth. Of course, we're just in the full thrust of middle youth at the moment. But if we go a little bit further back, pull up a picture that conjures up a tale. There must be plenty of them.
Yes, something that means something to you or was disastrous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'll show you a picture of my wedding.
a nice challenge. Whose wedding?
Well, it could be any of ours, really.
Yeah. That's the problem, isn't it? Wedding snap from all of us. Oh my God.
I've got a lovely picture I found the other day of me in a jacuzzi when Keely was about 4. And my God, I look at my body now and I look at it then and I could cry.
Isn't it mad? Because in the time, we were
I
never
looked
happy
so fabulous. I hadn't got a stomach. I'd got an arse. I'd got legs. All of that's gone.
But what's extraordinary is that at the time, we still weren't happy with who we were. And the madness is, if only we'd been able to enjoy it at the time, but we never do.
Instead of worrying about it.
Yeah.
I know.
And now what are you now? If you've got no legs, what are you now? Just a sort of blob, darling?
Yeah.
Just checking.
A big, fat blob.
There we go. Okay.
With
technical
broken
term.
veins. Just
we're honestly. So this is a very much a girly thing, isn't it, Richard? When we all start tearing ourselves apart and how horrible and how fat we look. And the thing is that we can't be like this, because the one thing is that we all look amazing and we all feel amazing, and that's the most important thing. And we're all healthy.
Could you write that down and send it to me in an email, please?
Richard, what have you done in this
copy
last...
and paste.
Yeah,
Richard,
I know,
what have you done this last week, darling?
Well, I tell you, this last week, funny you should mention it, Harriet, is I interviewed our very lovely friend, Gok Wang, because I'm still doing my interviews for Woman's Own every week. And Gok was very frank, actually, about how the first couple of weeks, he planned to take a good 5 weeks off work. And Gok never does this because he's very much, a workaholic. He lives for his work. single man, lives alone with his dog and stuff. So lockdown was bound to hit him, but I think it really ambushed him because he blocked this time off to go on holiday for once. And of course, this came along. And so he said the first couple of weeks were really tough. He said I almost had a breakdown. And then his sister talked him into turning it into a positive. And now he does these Isolation Nation discos from his kitchen every night. But he made a very good point. He said he was expecting about 20 or 30 people to tune in on a Saturday night as he's, you know, blowing the fluff off the stylus, so to speak, and mixing the discs or whatever it is the kids do these days. And it's leapt up in its thousands, and it's become this sort of community. And he said, in some ways, it's like a public service because people need to know, and this is what a show like this is, I suppose, in many respects, is you don't want to become, we can't be defined by COVID because we all had something in common before COVID. I know it seems at the moment that's all we've got in common, but before we had the music, we had the arts, whether we were tearing up a dance floor, whether we were treading the boards, whether we were on the telly, whatever we were doing, we had so much more in common, and it's important to keep that conversation going. And because of course now is not forever, and we had a good old chat about that actually. I mean, Gok's a good friend, as you know, ladies, but it was really lovely to get his perspective because he's a very, very positive individual, as I'm sure you all know who've met him, and his message, particularly about body shape, fashion, women, everything, you know, broadly speaking, is always fantastically positive. So it was really lovely to get his perspective on it, and for him to be quite so honest about the fact that the first couple of weeks were tough. He said he was wandering around London with his dog, and he said it was like some apocalyptic Will Smith movie without the hot Will Smith. And I think we all felt like that for a bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That phrase, "now is not forever," is so beautiful. And actually, I'm going to hold on to that because that's absolutely right.
And you know what Gok was saying, Richard, which I found fascinating, is that he cooks every day.
Yeah.
And what did he say, girls? He cooked for 20 people in his road or something?
He goes and hands the food out to his neighbours.
Yeah,
and then he
takes every day, though. Every day.
I wish I lived near him for that reason.
Yeah. I don't need any more food.
I don't cook, unfortunately.
She doesn't cook, so yeah, it's a problem.
I thought he was fascinating, that the fact that, and he loves cooking, he said, didn't he? It was very
his father had a restaurant.
Oh yes, that's true.
I do cook. I've been cooking a lot more as well in lockdown. During the week, the other half tends to knock up the dishes normally because I'm in bed about 8 o'clock, so I'm usually up about 4 or 4:30 in the morning. But we've been doing a lot more toing and froing.
What do you cook, darling?
I cook. Do you know what? When it comes to rice, life is too short. It's rather like making pastry. So Gok would probably throw shade on me for this, but I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with cooking rice. So I always get one of those quick packets full of quinoa and all that sort of stuff. And then as long as I've got a nice slab of fish or chicken from the butchers, then I can style it out or fashion it up with various sauces. The weekend is always the main event, of course. That's when we slam in the lamb or get a nice bit of topside. I do love a roast. The whole, and it's weird. I don't know if I said this to you before, ladies, but a weekend still feels like a weekend. I mean, this has become my Saturday brunch with you ladies, and Sunday still feels like a Sunday. And I think that's so important. So we'll pop a cork on a Sunday, and as I say, I'll do the roast. I love doing that, and I catch up with friends who live in different time zones in the States or Australia, and I spend my Sunday morning quaffing, doing the roast, chatting to them. And I, in all honesty, I've never felt more connected to those people. You know, we'd WhatsApp each other every week, but now we talk to each other every week. And so that side of my life has become enormously enriched because I feel so, I got a bit emotional actually last night because I was sat here, you know, last week we did the whole Dallas and 80s yarn, and I've got the Stetson, as you saw on last week's Wonderbirds, on last Saturday's Wonderbirds, and I saw the Stetson and the lights were all off apart from in the shed, and I just saw a light sort of fall onto the Stetson, and I thought, oh man, I miss those boys, I miss my friends there, you know. But as I say, I do feel really, really connected. I'm sure we all get those moments, but I do feel really connected with them now because again, we do have all this in common. Everybody's in lockdown to a varying degree, and everyone is using this sort of method of communication. So that side of my life has blossomed. Oh,
You're so
gonna have
right.
me in bits,
We use-
girls. You're gonna have me in bits. I'm feeling genuine emotion.
I know. I'm welling up, Richard.
I shouldn't
But I
feel
think
a
we
thing.
have the time now, don't we, to make those connections again. As you say, we throw off a text to somebody or whatever, but now we have the time to say, hello, how are you doing? And that's so important.
Yeah.
Amanda Barry, Richard, always says to me, she goes, because she rings me most days, but she says, I know, Sherrie, that if you don't answer the phone, that you're ignoring me or you don't want to speak to me because I know you've not gone out. I went, oh, God.
I mean, there is a sense to the fact, of course, there is, you know, I mean, for example, I could never be a no-show for this show because you know where to find me, and I'm at the bottom of my garden in my shed every Saturday waiting to connect with you lovely ladies. So if I'm going to be a hostage to anyone, I don't want being a hostage to you three.
As I've been talking to you, I've just had a text that's come through on my phone here from my neighbour to say a package has arrived at my old house. So those must be my ears.
Oh my God!
Oh.
They've gone to my old house.
No.
Well, I don't know about you ladies, but I was absolutely hanging on that cliffhanger. Couldn't wait for that to be resolved.
I know.
But thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I thought you were here. But I've been waiting for my ears for 2 days.
Oh, my God. Yes,
I mean, you know, what was I going to do? Oh, Sherry's on the booze now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
We all are, darling.
absolutely.
Oh, that's funny, Richard.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Well, this cheese and wine thing, I think is going to be fabulous when we arrange that, don't you?
Yes.
Oh, wait.
No, cheese. We want little baby sausages. And what did we say, Harriet?
We want pineapple and cheese on a little...
On sticks.
on a stick, dear.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we'll try and arrange that. But I think next week, Richard, we should do the picture thing. I think that'll be nice next week to make sure, because we will have to make sure that our cheeses arrive. So we're not 100% sure they'll be here by next week.
Yeah, but I can't wait. It should be
We
lovely.
can definitely do our pictures next week.
It
can't we?
will.
But can you imagine 10 o'clock Saturday morning and we're opening our wine and eating cheese? How
Yes,
decadent
I
is
can.
that? I mean, you know, that's kind of really out there, and isn't it?
Darling, dreams do
outrageous.
come true.
And Richard, after lockdown,
Yes.
can we come round to you for a roast, please? And a soiree?
That sounds a little suspicious, dear.
Yes, we'll all.
Yeah, exactly. No, the only thing that's going to happen from after lockdown, ladies, is you're going to be hearing from my lawyer. So.
and I want to see your shed, and that's not a euphemism.
Oh, well,
We'll be
Show
seeing
me your
this
shed, and
tale.
I'll show you mine.
you'll have to come. You'll have to come in the side return, though, ladies,
Oh, steady.
for the full effect.
Too much information. Too much information.
I love you guys.
Dad.
I love you.
Bye.